Hello and good morning. It is a beautiful Saturday morning right here, and welcome to Daybreak on this beautiful, lovely Saturday morning. And it is a special edition of the program. My name is Ibrahim Yusuf.
And I am Ayubelia. Thank you for joining us this morning. In fact, we decided to do this to honor our fallen heroes, those who have made the supreme price, to keep us safe, to make sure that Nigeria is united and one indivisible country. So today is really special indeed.
Yes, it is actually a special day, and you've actually just mentioned it. The ultimate sacrifice, you know, putting your life on the line for your country, for people that you don't even know. You understand?
True.
So to make sure that the country actually stays together, everybody is safe. I mean, like, it is the ultimate sacrifice. True. And these people deserve to be honored.
True. And when you talk about sacrifice, we are talking about having to stay awake while others are sleeping.
Exactly.
We are talking about having to stay outdoor when it's raining and it's very hot. If you talk about, the sun is very sunny and all of that. And these are people with families as well. They are our brothers, they are our sisters, they are our uncles, they are our neighbors and all of that. And so we owe it to them to celebrate them on this day, especially for those who have paid the supreme price, and not forgetting those who are still in service.
Yes, there are those that are actually still in service. While we're comfortable in our homes, just like you mentioned, they're out there in the trenches. I mean, literally in the trenches, and that is exactly why we should be able to take time and understand the sacrifices these people are making, not only physical, emotional, all sorts of things, putting their lives on the line so that we can be safe. So we need to celebrate them, and they need to know that we actually appreciate what they do.
Yes, and if you look at it historically, today is significant for two reasons. First, 15th of January 1996, the first coup in Nigeria was ushered in.
Yes, exactly.
And then, of course, on the 15th of January 1970 again, we also saw the end of the Civil War. So today is just a day to be remembered in the history of Nigeria. So we'll be talking a lot, about today, and taking a look at interviews and getting reports from all across. For now, let's take a look at the events of the 15th of January in world history. Well, there you have it. Today in history, the 15th of January is remembered for quite a number of things there, really. You take a look at what we just showed you. Today also is the day back in 2001 when Wikipedia started.
Yes.
And I bet you that's a game changer because a lot has changed.
A serious game changer. I mean, like those that were not around during the period, or that were not around during the period of Wikipedia, didn't know how difficult people actually had it. You know, to get some information. You know, you had to go, you do lots of research. You know how the encyclopedia of that day used to be. You know, large volumes of books. You have to comb through them all the time. But when Wikipedia came in, it changed everything. It seriously changed how everything was looked at. You know, you could
just like the Google that we have
exactly.
Today. Once you just go on Google, type anything, and you are likely going to get an information from Wikipedia.
Exactly.
Not telling you about literally everyone.
Exactly, or anything.
Yes.
You know, so it's a real game changer, and being on January 15th, you know, it's something like that.
Yeah.
So it's a very, very important date. This.
And also, we remember Festac 77 is also an important day in the history of Nigeria, you know, especially black.
Exactly. Festac was something that was unprecedented in this country, and it happened, and with some benefits of that Festac are still being reaped up till this day. We have places like Festac Town that were actually developed during that particular period, and they're still in use up till now. So it is something that was very, very poignant in the history of Nigeria.
Well, very important not to forget, you know, some of these significant facts, you know, about our existence as a country. And now, let's take a look at this report. In the build-up to today's event, there was Jummah prayer and church service to commemorate this ceremony. Let's take a look at the report with respect to that.
Activities marking this year's Armed Forces Remembrance Day in Adamawa State was preceded by Jummah service, which held at the Jummah Mosque, Nigerian Air Force Base. At this interdenominational church service holding at St. Stephen's Military Protestant Church, Gibson Jalo Cantonment, Christians seek prayers for troops on the front lines and those who have paid the supreme price. Governor Amadu Fintri is here represented by his deputy, Crowder Sect, while the Chief of Defense Staff, General Lucky Raboy, is here, represented by Air Commodore Bukan Sani, Base Commander, 153 Base Service Group, Nigerian Air Force, who gave the goodwill message on behalf of the Chief of Defense Staff.
The armed forces fought during the Civil War to keep this country together. The Nigerian armed forces went for ECOMOG operations in Liberia and Sierra Leone and fought gallantly to ensure peace in those countries. And everywhere in the world, anywhere we go to, we have been acknowledged. The Nigerian armed forces have been fighting ever since, from the Niger Delta militants. They have been fighting a long time ago with the insurgents, the Boko Haram insurgency, the IPOP, and indeed in the Northwest now, the kidnappers and bandits. We know that we have paid sacrifices for the country, and we shall continue to defend our country to the best of our ability.
In their sermons, the clergies extolled the selflessness of the men in uniform and urged authorities to care for the families of those who have paid the supreme sacrifice to keep the nation one.
Today, as we celebrate the Armed Forces Remembrance Day 2022, is that the selfless effort, the great commitment, the zeal, and the interest for the good of the nation, which kept our heroes, when they had the opportunity to be in the stage, to act for the good of the nation, by which the armed forces fought for the good of Nigeria that has kept us together. And all we are saying about it today, we are extolling those virtues of commitment, of zealousness, of readiness, of selflessness, even in our colleagues today. The CNC is doing so much. That's the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, the President of the nation, President Muhammadu Buhari. The service chiefs are doing wonderfully well, and our commanders at various levels are doing the same thing. So all we are telling the people, our colleagues today, is that it is good to imbibe these same qualities in order to be able, when the time will come, so that we have the strong and formidable armed forces to hand over to the coming generation.
Let governments put more effort to compensate I mean, not only to pray for them this very day, but do something practical assistance to their families. I pray the government will do more than what they are doing. I know they are doing, we pray they will do more of what they are doing, so that it will touch the heart of the living ones.
Well, there you have it, where we have these people who are, honoring the fallen heroes, are also celebrating this. It's always very important to see Nigerians come together and united. We have, prayers in the church and the mosque,
exactly.
regarding Nigeria's unity. I really look forward to seeing more of that unity. We talk a lot about it,
Yes.
but when it comes to
Yes,
in practicality, sometimes you really wonder.
Yeah, we do talk a big game when it comes to saying that, okay, we need to be united despite our diversity and all that, and instead of looking at our differences, we should understand them. Yes, we talk about them, but how do we practice it? And I don't think it's something that's that difficult. It's just a question of the mindset, knowing that your neighbor is not your enemy, no matter what religion or where he comes from, So I think it's something that it's a mindset issue, and the sooner we start getting that, right, the better for
and
all of us.
Politicians play a big role in this.
Exactly.
They're very important.
Exactly, because we've had situations, a lot of situations whereby people accuse politicians of using religion, ethnicity, to divide the people and for their own political gains, which is something that it needs to change. That's
Really,
just the bottom line.
It has to change.
Yeah.
For Nigeria to move on.
Exactly.
All right, let's take a look at yet another report. The Nigerian Armed Forces Remembrance Day is a day set aside for sober reflections on the significance of the armed forces to the country. Now, in this special interview with elder statesman Tanko Yakase, he talked about how the event of 15 January 1996 changed the political landscape of Nigeria. Take a look.
I went to Lagos for a meeting aimed at the radical in the NEPO and radical in the UMBC, because we had three major political parties in the north at that time: the MPC, the NCNC, and the UMBC. UMBC was for minority people in the north. We had to come through the, what do you call this area? Near the NBC, Nigerian Broadcasting, Ikoyi. I was in Ikoyi. You have to come through Obalande. So coming through Obalande, I saw large number of military people checking vehicles. I said, what happened? That was the first time. So I didn't know. I said, look, instead of going to the House of Representatives for this meeting, I had a friend called Moody Baba, who was born in Lagos. He was a houseman from Kano. So I said, let me go to Moody and find out what is happening. Meanwhile, from Ikoyi to Moody was living along Nnamdi Azikiwe Street. There are so checkpoints, military checkpoints. I went, Moody didn't know what was happening. Then another friend, Miko Abdullah, came. He said he learned that Sardauna was killed, Tafawa Balewa was missing, and Okotebo, Akintola was killed. That was how I came to know about the military takeover at that time. It was a tragedy for Nigeria that will take time to disappear. So you are talking of the role of the military. That recklessness, I will call it, by Ndegu and his colleagues. You see, at that time, the Igbo were not up to 10%, or Southerner, in fact, were not up to, at best, 20 or 30% of the number of people in the military establishment in Nigeria, except in the senior leadership cadre. So, but how can 10% or even 30% think of staging a coup and eliminate leadership from the north, who constituted 70-80% of the total man under the gun? So that was the tragedy that befell Nigeria. She's the military. But the military at that time was not interested in politics. I had a good number of friends in the military at that time. But that at that time, those who attempted the coup eliminated the political leadership from the north and the west. And they were unfortunately Igbo elements that changed the entirety of the political nature of Nigerian politics at that time. Because the impression was created that Igbo staged this coup to take over control. Before then, there were certainly ethnic rivalry in different major groups, 3 major groups in Nigeria: Hausa Fulani, or Northerners, Westerners, Easterners. So, being the Igbos, Ndegu and the rest of them, most of them, the only Yoruba man among them was what is called in. Fortunate thing is that any time we started to correct the mistake of the first, the military will come and scuttle the efforts, and we'll go back to square one. And this is what happened. I pray we are now 20 years away from military rule. But unfortunately, we are not out of the woods yet, because those who led Nigeria till today had military background, who came to power through coup d'etat, not through election. Obasanjo, Buhari, whether you like it or not, Buhari, Obasanjo cannot build democracy in Nigeria. I'm not just criticizing them because they are military. The fact in the ground is that they are not able to build democracy. Obasanjo did not build democracy in Nigeria. There was an attempt, but he did not build democracy. Look at Buhari, who tried to contest election 3 times and failed, and succeeded in the 4th time through, by accident, the effort of one individual here. And he succeeded. And yet, till today, the thing is half military, half civilian. But we are making progress. Our task is to eliminate that half, the other half, in the process, because time is in our favor. My experience with the Round Table Conference in Nigeria does not encourage me to support this thinking. I took part in 2 of them. Unfortunately, the moment we entered into the conference hall, we go back to our original mantra: Hausa or Northern for the north, Eastern for the east. So I will support a dialogue, but in a different form, not in the way it was organized before. We have now progressed. We have a lot of political scientists in Nigeria. We have a lot of economists a lot of different people with the requisite of knowledge that can develop any country. We are lucky that whether you like it, you like Nigeria or not, we have the concentration of better educated black people in the world, better even than in the United States of America, because they discriminated against them. They denied them the opportunity to be on equal terms with the white one. My son went to Liberia just recently. He just came back. He came back about a week, then I left for Lagos, then for Abuja. He was surprised that Liberia, which was the first black independent nation, was far, far, far behind Nigeria. He said this is the first impression he got when he went to that. He said he was so disappointed that Liberia, which is a concentration of black people brought in from America, that they are far away in terms of development from the black people of Nigeria. It's a blessing, this concentration of black people. We don't understand it. You wouldn't know that until you go somewhere else. People who don't go outside Nigeria, they will not appreciate how important it is to have this concentration of the black people. We have southern Nigeria, which is better educated than the northern Nigeria, but we have more people. When they brought us together, we were 55%. They were 45%. So the 45% will help the 53%. One day we'll be at par. Another thing we have more numbers. But when you have in a democracy, when you have more number, you have more votes, you have more representation, so there will be a balance, a time that when there will be a balance. And then the development.
What's your message to the armed forces as they continue to battle insurgency?
The message is that let the armed forces, the retired and those who are in the service, learn from the lesson, the havoc, the misfortune, the military intervention that brought to this Nigeria. And let them change their mantra. Forget about politics is not for the military. They chose to go to the military out of their own volition. Nobody asked anybody who is in the military to go to the military. They went on their own. Let them stay there. This is what they chose. People who chose to be engineers, others chose to be doctors, others chose to be whatever, business people and so on. They are succeeding. Those who chose to go to the military, let them stay there. Let them forget about politics. Let them leave the politics for the politicians. Because politics is the only vehicle for development in the whole world. It is what made people better. Let us leave politics for the politicians. The politicians, they compete, like at the beginning I said, the competition, the best thing in politics, because you come with your idea, the other man who wants to take over from you will develop better ideas than your own. The ideas, the competition ideas keep on. There is no limit to this. So let them leave it for the politicians to compete with one another. Because we do, now it's a democracy. Sooner or later, democracy will prevail. And democracy means competition. Means competition not only, not competition of guns, but competition of ideas. So we'll be able to use better ideas to develop our country, develop our society, and we make our country greater than what it is today.
Well, there you have it. That special interview with Tankuya Kasai. These are people that saw it all. It
Exactly.
happened right before them.
Exactly.
And so taking us memory lane, painting that graphic picture of what exactly happened that day is quite really interesting. And I think central to the discussion is about Nigeria's unity and development, and the role of the military as well. You could see that for those who said, well, the First Republic was, doing well, as far as democracy is concerned, until that junta,
Exactly.
the very first one that, shaped Nigeria's political space till today. And we are seeing, evidently the impact, of all of these military interruptions, isn't it?
Yes, actually, it is quite significant when you look at the situation. If you remove that particular event in Nigerian history, if that never happened, definitely we probably won't be where we are today. You understand? I'm not saying it's going to either be positive or negative, but definitely we won't be where we are today because those events of that day actually shaped the entire course of where this nation is. Because prior to that, the military had no involvement in governance. The military was the military. Politicians were doing their thing. But once they got that taste, it was very difficult to get it out of their mouth. You understand? Because just like the elder statesman pointed out, we start healing, we go back to democracy, we have a few, and then at the end of the day, the military comes back again, because they already had a taste of it, and he still made a very strong point. Up till now, we still have those retired military guys. They are still coming back and becoming politicians now and still being in the ruling class. So I think that is all an offshoot of the events of January 15th, 1966.
And really, some analysts believe that some of these military people are unrepentant, even though they, say that they are Democrats. But certain events have shown that, look, there is still this military element, in them. And the discussion is always about, okay, how can Nigeria move on from where it is? Nigeria, because of that event, has greatly been divided. Yes, we've seen several efforts, by subsequent governments and administration to try to foster unity, on Nigeria. Specifically, if you talk about the administration of Yakubu Gowon, who saw the end to that civil war. The NYSC, for instance, was an initiative under his administration to try to foster unity among Nigerians. Yes, the unity schools, came to be. Myself attended one of them. And yes, I can tell you that, yes, it's quite a unifying force because I had a lot of friends from different parts of the country, from the east, from the west, and we all saw ourselves as Nigerians, really. There was no distinctions about whether I'm from the north, I'm from.
Well, going by what you're seeing,
east,
what you're seeing now, is it still? Does it still have that kind of significance? The schools that we have now, the unity
yes.
schools?
Well, the thing is that some of the schools have been weakened. Some of the conflicts that we have seen in recent past has further divided the country
That's
again.
a larger society.
Yes, and as a result of that, let's take NYC for instance. Now, when you come to deployment, of youth corps members, people are not always, relaxed and comfortable when it comes to deployment to certain locations.
Exactly.
There is this apprehension, that comes on because of the feeling that, and all of that. And these were the very reasons why the whole initiative was introduced in the first place, so that Nigerians can get to relate more, better and all of that. But unfortunately, we are still living with some of these symptoms. And personally, I think that politicians have a big role, to play in this, like we highlighted earlier on. When you listen to politicians, especially during campaigns and all of that, they seem to re-emphasize, some of these things that, divide us, some of these things that are meant to, make us a stronger people, together. They kind of reinforce these things, and the truth is, it's not in the interest of anyone.
Yes, well, it's in their own interest. That's the politicians. It's not in the interest of the general population. I mean, like, they make these things issues. They bring these things up. They highlight these issues. They make them into issues where they're not even supposed to be because of their own political gains. That's what they're after. Sure. So that is the problem. And unfortunately, just like the elder statesman Tom Kwakase actually said, the politicians are the ones who are supposed to heal this. You know, because just like you pointed out, the military are not politicians, you know. They have their own role to play in society, so they should stick to it. You don't bring an undertaker and have him run a medical school for you. You understand? It won't work. So that's how it works. That's how it should be. But unfortunately, a certain section of politicians that actually do not have that general interest of the general population at hand, and that is why we have situations like this, whereby they promote these things, all the differences that we do have that are actually supposed to make us stronger when we are united in one place, but they highlight these things and then they cause these divisions, and that is why we have all these rifts in society as we have them now.
Yes, but on our part, as journalists and broadcasters, we'll continue to project and give you the right information, give you the awareness that you need to understand that we are a people, and united we are stronger together, instead of divided people. You cannot achieve any kind of progress when you are not together. And so Nigeria as a people must understand the strength that it has, the multicultural diversity that we have, we must bring it to bear, and that we must understand that we are first human beings before we are anything else.
Even what we're doing now, celebrating Armed Forces Remembrance Day, the sacrifices of these people, we owe it to them. Those people that sacrificed their lives, those military men that actually died for Nigeria to stay together, we actually owe it to them to be unified.
All right. Now, we'll take a quick break, and then when we come back, we'll take a look at another report by a Regiment Sergeant Major Rafiu Ajetumobi, a Nigerian Civil War veteran, who also recount his experience on this special day. So stay with us.
Sir, end of your address.